It's the Audible. Once again, it's on. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, and I am at the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, where the news is coming out, Bloom, a little bit slower because quarterbacks don't throw till Saturday. Quarterbacks don't talk till Friday. And Lord knows everyone wants to talk about the quarterbacks, but there is quarterback discussions around guys like Kirk Cousins, who may actually explore free agency. One of the buzz things we're picking up here in Indy. And maybe that goes a little sideways compared to what people thought, in that, well, Minnesota's just going to do the same thing over again, like they always do, and just keep Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk that Cousins wants to stay in Minnesota. Certainly there's continuity for this team. But as we said when we were talking about Cousins earlier this month, what do the Vikings want to do at this point? Are you still trying to create a window with the team you have now? See, even there's whispers, or maybe they're made up whispers, but I think even when it's made up whispers, it is meaningful that it even got floated that they might trade Justin Jefferson. And even if the Vikings deny it, and even if there was nothing to it, it shows you how people are viewing this team. You're at a major fork in the road. Danielle Hunter is another good example. Are you going to try to, because they had other players, Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, who they let go. So are you going to try to win with this group of players? Or are you looking to the future and really trying to create that window 2 or 3 years from now? And signing Kirk Cousins again doesn't make any sense if you're looking 2 to 3 years from now. But also, you might be ruthlessly just using the market to save some money. Because if they have judged that Kirk Cousins, coming off an Achilles tear at age 36, isn't going to get a contract that, say, Derek Carr got last year, then it makes sense to let him go. Even if he wants to come back to Minnesota, go and test the market. Then when he comes back, his demands might go down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what you see here at the Combine, where it's about workouts, but it's also about the nightlife, Bloom, and it's about the
Yeah.
meetings, and it's about people talking and gauging interest. There's no such thing as collusion in the NFL. That does not exist at all.
Tampering.
But tampering, what is that? But when people are around each other, you're going to have natural conversations. And oh boy, the stuff we're learning in Indy with Minnesota, it's like, okay, figure out what he would get, because you can get a gauge on it here.
Yeah, and I think the other team that we have to talk about here is Atlanta. And you have Raheem Morris saying, really frankly, I love the new era of frankness in the NFL, of being candid. He said, hey, if they had had a better quarterback last year, I might not be here talking to you. So they're going to get a better quarterback. Is that Justin Fields? Now you hear at least a rumor that Atlanta has reached out to talk to Chicago about Justin Fields. Could it be Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins, remember, had Sean McVay as his offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, coming from the Sean McVay system. So maybe Kirk Cousins would be a seamless transition to that offense, as opposed to quarterbacks that have to go to a new team and learn a new offense. So I think there's also the idea of dance partners that may also be waiting on other dance partners. As you said, Cecil, conversations are happening. Those plate tectonics, if you listen behind the conversation, you can hear that rumbling, where moves, not just moves that are going to trickle down in the draft, but moves in free agency, potential trades, all of those things, the wheels get turning at the Combine. And that may be, at least for fantasy football, the more important part of what happens at the Combine than the player performances.
Right. And I really appreciate John Schneider, Seattle Seahawks GM. I don't appreciate how he fleeced the Broncos with the worst trade ever for Russell Wilson. That's a whole other story. Of course, Sean Payton talking about the next quarterback. The next quarterback's not Russell Wilson. We know that. So there still are, we're waiting, Bloom, for these quarterback dominoes to fall. John Schneider says at the Combine, well, Geno Smith's our starter until he's not. What the hell does that mean? Well, it means he's no long-term plan, which we already knew.
And his contract reflects that. And his level of play, while greater than expected, still is not that Super Bowl window level of play. I mean, isn't this really the essence of what we're waiting on with Chicago? Do you think you can get to a Super Bowl with Justin Fields? If you can't, then your decision is made for you. So this time last year, remember, Seattle was sitting, I think, 6th. And some people were, I believe, logically saying, hey, if Anthony Richardson is there at
Sure.
6, why not Anthony Richardson? and we probably would have applauded the pick. So again, it's already on our minds. And again, we could get into, well, can you substantiate these rumors? Is there anything to it? And unfortunately, in the NFL, a lot of times we're not going to get clear answers. There may be people out there who know the answers, but if you are in a position to know answers to those questions, you probably aren't going to tell people that you know those answers, or you don't get those answers anymore. You aren't in the position anymore. So I do think that we can all see that Seattle should not be satisfied with Geno Smith as a long-term plan. And I think that this draft, again, the name J.J. McCarthy comes up. And J.J. McCarthy could change his destiny and change the destiny of another franchise, as he is one of the only quarterbacks potentially going in the first round that is going to throw. And I think that Seattle is in a position where I think they have a patient fan base. They have patient ownership. They don't need to push for this year. So maybe a longer term plan like J.J. McCarthy could make sense. Or why not throw other names out there like Justin Fields? For them, I think, again, a lot is going to be revealed, but we're waiting for that first domino. Everybody's looking at Chicago. Once that one falls, then you'll see others fall in quick succession.
It's like a staring contest between these teams and who's going to blink first. And you mentioned J.J. McCarthy. They better get in front of the Broncos.
Yeah, well, and that's
going to happen. If J.J. McCarthy's on the board at 12, which he might not be, the Broncos will take him. There you go.
Well, and the Chargers even sitting there at 5, and it's not necessarily absurd to think, as you had made that connection between Jim Harbaugh and J.J. McCarthy, it's not that outlandish to think about taking J.J. McCarthy at number 5. The other thing that went down this week, Cease, that I think affects all of these stories in some way, or should, if these teams are being rational, is teams went into the offseason expecting $243 million as a salary cap number for 2024. And you put together your plan. I mean, come on, if you got your dynasty fantasy football team, you're putting together your offseason plan. The cap comes in around $255 million. And not just for this season, but when you start to project that growth going forward, teams should be optimistic about cap room. They shouldn't act like the Saints, but they should definitely be optimistic about cap room. But at the same time, that makes a rookie quarterback that much more valuable. And I think that locking in J.J. McCarthy at a rookie contract, if he hits, is going to open up a window, the kind of window the Chargers did not take advantage of when Justin Herbert was in his rookie contract.
Is Daniel Jeremiah the greatest Audible alum of all time?
Yes.
Right. Spent 2 years with us. We love him.
He's probably the best football analyst out there. And one of the things I love about him. Yeah. Well, Dane Brugler, when it comes just to meat and potatoes draft analysis, if you're not consuming what he's doing, then you're missing out on almost like north on the compass for calibrating your draft knowledge and then supplementing it with other draft analysts. But what I really love about Daniel Jeremiah, there was just a story, Cease, that I shared, that he shared, a story of his. He was telling it on Kevin Clark's show. Kevin Clark's show is terrific, by the way. Kevin Clark is doing tremendous stuff. Everybody on his show tends to open up and they're comfortable and they tell stories like one that Daniel Jeremiah told about Ozzie Newsome. You know it's going to be good if it's an Ozzie Newsome story, right?
Back when
he worked with the Ravens. And he was talking about the Michigan defense that had so many great players, Leon Hall, David Harris, Prescott Burgess. And one of the things they were asking the players, the Michigan players, going into the draft, the defensive players, who's the leader of the defense? Well, they all said David Harris, except Prescott Burgess. Prescott Burgess said, me, I'm the leader of the defense. And Ozzie asked him, well, you know the other players on your defense are saying David Harris. And he said, did you all have sessions where you watched film together? And Prescott Burgess said, yes. And he said, who held the clicker when you watched tape? He said, well, David Harris. And Ozzie said, okay, that's all we need to know. Mm-hmm. And they ended up drafting Prescott Burgess in the 6th round. So,
right.
But those kinds of stories, I think, because I think there's a lot of stuff going on at the combine right now where people are making fun of this. Jeff Risdon, who's awesome, another awesome name that you should know, Jeff. He literally stands out in a crowd, but he also stands out in a crowd for his great football knowledge and the way that he covers the teams that he covers and everything he brings to that. And he said that he's hearing GMs not talk about testing results, but talk about the person, that they're interested in the person.
Mm-hmm.
And people are trying to dunk on that. And I think that really people should be taking just the opposite out of that, which is that is actually, I think, the edge, the hidden edge in draft scouting, the hidden edge in team building. There was another item I thought was really interesting, Cease, that came out of the combine that Jordan Love, when he was struggling, remember covering Jordan Love this year. Oh, we'll see. Oh,
Right,
boy, it looks
right.
like he's not the answer. He is the
Especially
answer.
early in the season, it was that.
Right. And I think it was Gutekunst said what got them through that period was that his teammates believed in him and his teammates stood behind him. So team cohesion, personalities, and the more spiritual, emotional, psychological side of the game, which is very elusive. You can't measure it. You know, another interesting thing I think the Packers said was that things like those cognitive tests, they're not using it to weed out players. They're using it to learn how to support the players they draft once they're in the building. Wow. So I think that we can glean a lot of this stuff that isn't football, but is actually good human skills, and the good organizations have that. And so does Daniel Jeremiah. Yeah.
You'll be shocked to know I did not pick up on people dunking on that because I don't give a crap about social networking. Sorry, Joe. I almost said the S word. So naughty here on the Audible, but it's like we've always said that. This is our 19th year. We've said that for 19 years. It's about the people because guess what? It's about the people. It's about the people in your building. It's the quality of people. It's quality of personnel. The football, the physical stuff, that's so easy to see. It goes way beyond that. But I bring up DJ because you brought up quarterback and rookie quarterback salaries and what a bargain it'll be because he brought up tight end with Brock Bowers and saying that taking a tight end in the top 10 based on the rookie salary scale really doesn't give you the savings that it does. It's not the benefit. And we all know Sam Laporta should have been a first rounder. I'll make my case for CSU's own Trey McBride should have been a first rounder. And they're not. Why? Well, because tight ends, you don't get that break like you do with other positions. Brock Bowers is very special. I think he's the third best player in this draft, regardless of position. Based on what DJ said and kind of the conversation around tight end this week, Bowers will probably slide to you if you're sitting there, if you're the Broncos at 12.
And that's the exact wrong way to look at this. And it's good because it will reward organizations that see through this, and it will punish organizations that are too focused on cap savings. Again, if the cap is going up year after year after year, you're going to basically get extra cap room. You're going to find extra change in your pocket every year, no matter what. So why are you worrying about trying to lock in extra surplus cap value instead of just making sure you get a good player? Making sure you get a player that's going to fit in your program, in your system. And there's a way that you can turn this all on your head, Cease, on its head. If we're going to be obsessed with money, if we're going to be obsessed with how much extra money can you save, well, if we consider Brock Bowers, much like we talked about Dalton Kincaid last year, Brock Bowers is, even with these big three receivers, one of the best receivers in this draft. True or false?
True.
Yeah, he's one of the best receivers in this draft. Period. Okay. If you're getting
it's
him,
the same way I felt about Kincaid last year. Kincaid was the best receiver in that draft.
Right. So if you were getting Brock Bowers, forget about the rookie tight end contract. Forget about the number 5 overall or 8 overall or whatever contract he gets. Over the course of his career, if you're getting the same kind of competitive advantage that other wide receivers who at the top of their earning potential are probably going to earn twice as much as Bowers, you're going to save on the second contract and the third contract, and hopefully he retires as a member of your team. So if you're worried about saving money, getting somebody who offers the competitive advantage of a wide receiver at what are tight end contracts going to top out at? 15 mil, 20 mil a year if you're truly, truly elite. Okay. If there's one tight end who stands out above everybody else in this NFL, he would get maybe $20 million a year. And you're going to start seeing wide receiver contracts top $30 million a year very soon, if not this year. So if you're worried so much about saving money, then Brock Bowers is going to save you a lot of money because the NFL is going to call him a tight end through the course of his career.
If you're worried about saving money, this is the wrong business for you. It is the Audible, footballguys.com. Help us out on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe, all those sorts of things. But Bloom, tell us what's going
Yeah.
on with Reddit on Football Guys Fridays.
Yeah, this is really exciting. And look, if you aren't on r/fantasy football, if you aren't using Reddit as part of your fantasy football toolbox, you're missing out. And we're really excited to be part of the offseason season. You coined the term non-playing season. So I think people can really feel that this time of year is when you can get a lot of advantage over the competition, and some of the best talk, some of the best activity is going on over at Reddit. And we are very fortunate and very honored to be part of Football Guys Fridays during the month of March into April. And you can go to our fantasy football every Monday. The Ask Me Anything thread is going to be posted. And then on Fridays, we're going to show up and answer questions, starting on March 8th with Jeff Bell, Christian Williams, Kevin Coleman doing the great rookie guide. If you haven't got that yet, it's free, by the way, and it's going to be updated throughout the draft season. Then on the 15th, you get the Football Guys show team, Dave Kluge and Alfredo Brown, Jaggermay, doing incredible work. I'm going to be doing my AMA on March 29th. And then, they save the best for last, Matt Waldman, because why are we going until April? Because April 1st is RSP Day. Pre-order your RSP if you have not. And after the RSP drops on April 1st, on April 5th, Matt Waldman is going to be doing an Ask Me Anything over at Reddit Fantasy Football. So again, Football Guys Fridays starting on March 8th over at Reddit Fantasy Football. If you don't have an account over there, if you're not part of that, it's time to do something about it.
Yeah, Beatles said all you need is love. All you need is Dane Brugler's Beast, Matt Waldman's RSP, and Daniel Jeremiah on NFL Network, and the Audible on YouTube. I'll take a stroll, Bloom, as we wrap up today's program. Yeah. We appreciate everyone for jumping on board. Also, we got T. Higgins' situation. He's part of their long-term plans in Cincinnati. I guess that's a bit of a surprise based on how we came into the combine and based on the news we're getting out of the combine.
Yeah, I think what's interesting here is, again, we have to say it's a new era in Cincinnati. They're willing to spend to keep their Super Bowl window open. But also, I think the extra $12 million or so of cap that teams weren't depending on is part of that. I still think the interesting question will be, are they willing to sign T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to long-term contracts and have potentially 25% of their cap taken up by two wide receivers, and then how much of that is going to be Joe Burrow? So really, that's what you're building your team around. But I think as a short-term move, it makes a lot of sense. It should make Bengal fans very happy. Doesn't sound like a tag and trade is in the works. And again, with the cap going up year after year, buy time, buy your Super Bowl window. And while it does not going to buy long-term financial security, at least in the way that T. Higgins probably believes he has earned at this point, it is going to make the Bengals season much more exciting and Joe Burrow a better fantasy football quarterback.
Lots of activity here in the media room. I think I'm going to get a chicken wrap, Bloom. But I also want to show you a few of our luminaries, a few of our friends. We're all about our friends, right? Look, a special Audible appearance for Andrew Mason. There you go. You see him on Orange and Blue today on Denver Sports. I caught him eating. There's Scott Reynolds. He showed us around our first Senior Bowl. What's up, Scott?
Wow.
Cecil Sigmund. Always good to talk to him and take it a stroll. I don't think our man Frank Schwab is here, but I'll nudge in on a conversation. Frank Schwab, yeah. I told you I saw Doug Farrar. There's Doug Farrar right there. Say hi to Sigmund.
Yeah, royalty.
Hey, there you go. He says, hi, Sigmund, what's up? So, yeah, we're here, man. We're here at the Scouting Combine, and we're wrapping up today's show with a nice little bow, Bloom, and I'm going to have a chicken wrap, Caesar chicken wrap. I can eat this, Doug, so I'm good. So we're good to go. It's a wrap for today's program. Everyone, thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you for checking out footballguys.com. He's Sigmund, I'm Cecil. Everyone, thanks. Stay tuned and stay frosty.